Are you wanting to get started in the hobby of woodworking, but afraid it might be too expensive? Thinking you have to buy all these high-dollar power tools just to get started, just to start learning? Well, don't think that. In today's video, I'm going to show you a very simple beginner's woodworking kit that you can buy for around $100, and it will get you started in learning the skills that you need for woodworking. Let's go see. We're going to answer that question, whether we can get started in woodworking for around $100. Most people think that woodworking is a bunch of power tools, a bunch of large equipment, a bunch of scary things, and it's really not. Just 100 years ago, our grandparents and their fathers and grandparents and all that, they were using hand tools, and it's perfectly okay to start out with hand tools. So I'm going to give you 6 tools that would be part of a basic woodworking kit. Most of it, except for probably one part, and I'll point that out, that you can use throughout your whole journey through the woodworking skills. So the things you got to do in woodworking are measuring, cutting, fastening, and clamping. And so with the toolkit, and I'm going to give you for around $100 or a little bit more, if you can get some of these tools used or from your grandfather or whatever, more power to you. You get right around $100 or so. But I'm going to give you a basic kit that you can accomplish easier projects, simpler projects, but that's where you need to start. You need to start simple. You need to start with simple butt joints. You need to start with, nailing joints together, how to use a wood screw, stuff like that. And this kit will give you that. So I got this question from Noster, and it comes from Simply Sarah. And she asked me, how do you get started if you want to do this at home as a beginner? Do this at home, meaning woodworking. She says, I have nothing and a tight budget. What would be an ideal scenario in this case? Maybe for different price ranges, types, wood tools, etc. I spent about $30 on the cheap one, meaning she showed me a project that she wanted to accomplish, and that was a simple little box frame that goes on the wall. Simple butt joints, simple, no real complicated cuts. So I spent about $30 on the cheap one, and I would like to keep it under $100. I guess basic hand tools on a budget. So that's what she was wanting. So that's what I'm gonna give you. I tried my best to get it under $100. I got it to about $111, but like I said, if you can find some of these tools used or on eBay or what, maybe not eBay, but if you can find them hand-me-down tools, you'll save just that much more. But I got you pretty close, and I think it'll be a good kit, and you won't have to rebuy. You're not going to buy. This isn't anything that's cheap Chinese junk. There's a lot of tools out there that will break as soon as you look at them. And I didn't pick any of that. A lot of these brands I'm familiar with. One of them I'm not familiar with, but it gets really good reviews. And it's on a thing that's not too terribly, it'll last. So, to start off with, we need to learn how to cut. So I mean, that's a basic thing in woodworking, is cutting. So what I picked for the kit is a Stanley back saw and miter box. This is for making simple 90-degree and 45-degree cuts in wood, and probably, oh, it does a 22.5-degree cut also. So this will get you miter joints, this will get you like picture frame joints, this will get you butt joints, and they'll be nice and square, which square means 90 degrees. And it's a good brand. Stanley's a good brand. The saw you can use throughout your whole woodworking journey. The miter box, later, if you get a power miter saw like the one over my shoulder, you may not use the box ever again, but it's plastic. It's really the only throwaway part of this kit. But the saw you'll be able to use, because a lot of times if you use a power saw, you'll still need to come in there with a hand saw and do a final cut. So this back saw, you'll use it. It'll be there in the toolbox and just waiting. So you're not wasting your money on this. So first off is the miter box set. That'll give you cuts, and it's at around $22 or so on Amazon. And then next, we always need a good hammer. And I picked out a hammer, but a hammer is very specific to the person. Some people like lighter hammers, some people like heavier hammers. I picked out one that's maybe a little bit on the heavier side. However, you kind of need it for if you get pallet wood or something like that. You need a heavier hammer to be able to take it apart and all that. So the one I picked has a rip claw, which is a straight claw, and I think that's important in a hammer, is to get the rip claw, not the real curved part for pulling nails. I like the rip because you can get into wood and pry it apart and use it more as a pry bar. Pallet wood is a good source of wood for woodworking, so I think this would be good for taking it apart. I'm also have it in there for driving finish nails to put the shelf unit to pin the joints together with some finish nails. So that's why I have the hammer in there. It's essential. And then next, and the hammer is around that $10 or so, less than $10. And then next, I have, let's go with, next I have a tape measure. And this is a tape measure that I use all the time. It's a Stanley lever lock. I've used them for 25 years or so, or longer. It's a really good tape measure. You can buy a cheaper tape measure, but they'll tear apart. That's not to say this one won't tear apart. After a while, they do break, so they are kind of disposable. However, this one will last you many, many, many years, and you need it to make measurements in your wood and make the mark where you need to cut it on the miter box that I just showed you. So a good tape measure, and this is about 12 bucks, or right at 12 bucks. So on Amazon. And I've linked to all of these tools down below in the description, so you can go check them out. But pick what you want. Just be cautious of the really, really off brands, and especially on Amazon. I'm not too certain how durable they would be, so just be cautious. These I recommend because I have experience with a lot of them. So a good tape measure. And then next, clamps. You always need clamps in woodworking to glue joints together, because glue takes at least 2 hours or so to set up. So you need to clamp it, and you need to clamp it tight, and there's other things you can do. And you never have enough of them. So you always need them, and you never have enough of them, so you need to get, in a basic kit, you're good to buy a couple of clamps at first. You know, these are the hand clamps that just require a little hand squeeze to tighten them. I've used them. I actually don't own any. I own a lot of other clamps, but I don't own these. I've used them on the job site, so I love them. I just never have bought some. So these are the Win clamps. They're on Amazon, link below. And they get really good reviews. They seem like good quality tools. This is the only one I don't really have too much experience with, but the reviews are really good, and it seems like a good brand. So I'm going to recommend them. And they're hand clamps. Some of my most used hand clamps are 20-year-old Chinese really cheap clamps, and they bend when I clamp with them, so they're really not very good. However, I use them, and I still use them. So even if these aren't quite top-notch quality, you'll still get use out of them, and you'll be able to learn with them. And they should last several years or your whole journey. So, but a couple of clamps. These are 12-inch clamps. I saw some cheaper that were 6-inch clamps, but I don't think 6-inch is going to get you to what you need. You know, you're wanting to make little box shelves, and 12-inch is probably the least distance I would want. Preferably 24-inch clamps, but like I said, you never have enough, so you can always buy those later. So some clamps. And now the only power tool I recommend is a Skill corded drill. I'm recommending a corded drill first because battery operated cordless drills are great, but they're kind of disposable. I don't care what brand they are, they're disposable. They're disposable because of the battery. That battery goes dead, your whole drill set's dead. And it costs more to buy the battery, or at least in the past, than to buy a new cordless drill. I recommend a cord drill first because they're more durable and you don't have to worry about the battery, and they are just good for, they're good for all jobs, but they're really good for certain jobs that are that require a little bit more torque. So they're just an all-around tougher drill. This one's a more inexpensive Skill. It comes in at what does it come in at? It comes in at $32.32. I think it'll last a while. It may not last forever, because I started out with, I think, the 20-year-old model of this one a long time ago. I used it for quite some time. I eventually pushed it beyond its limits, and I smoked it. So But I think under normal use, this will be just fine. And you want this drill to be able to pre-drill for your finish nails that you're going to nail with your hammer to pin joints together. And you can use it to dowel with, to put in glue dowels. So you can use it to dowel. And you can use it for pre-drilling screw holes so you don't split the wood. You always want to pre-drill your holes in woodworking unless it's like a pneumatic nailer, because that finish nail or screw will generally split the wood, and if you're using a hardwood like oak, even poplar, it's too hard to drive through the wood. You just can't get it in. So you need to pre-drill a hole. And you want to pre-drill that hole just smaller than the solid portion of the screw, or just smaller than the finish nail that you're using. Which leads me to my next and final tool. You need a drill bit set. And I picked out this drill bit set. It's a really good price. It's Bosch, so it's really good quality. It has basically everything you need in it, meaning Phillips head drivers, some other head drivers. I think it has a Torx driver in it. So it gives you the ability to drive screws. It gives you the ability to drill metal and wood. It has metal bits and wood bits. And the camera's doing something weird. So you got that. And then it has a bonus of masonry bits, which you may or may not use, but they're in there. So it gives you a decent set of drill bits to use, and it's a good thing to start out with. Well, you need drills for the drill. So that gives you a comprehensive the most inexpensive comprehensive set of tools to begin woodworking with. The ability to measure, the ability to cut, the ability to use at least 3 or 4 different fasteners, finish nails, screws, dowels, and a simple glue joint. You'll have the ability to clamp that simple glue joint together with the clamps, and pin it together with the hammer and all that. So this gives you a good set to start out with. I hope this answers your questions. I really tried to get it to right at 100 or below, but I think if you went out and scrounged a little bit, you may be able to find a giveaway hammer or something like that that'll get you started with, and that's fine. I mean, that's doable. So I hope this helps you, and I hope this starts your journey woodworking. And just go and give it a try. You're gonna burn some things, you're gonna make miscuts, throw them away and learn from them. That's woodworking. You're gonna make mistakes, and just be knowledgeable of that, and to give yourself the ability to learn, and you'll have a great new hobby. So I hope this helps. I'll see you next time.